Let us know what you're up to. Keys to this matchup, Audrey?
Yeah, well, I think there are three big things in this match. Number one, both teams want to stay in system. They've got two great setters with multiple hitters to go to. If they stay in system, well, it's going to be a slugfest like we mentioned. The second key, both teams want to minimize unforced errors. I anticipate close sets, so those frustration errors, both teams want to keep them to a minimum. The last thing, I think, you want to frustrate your opponent with defense. Get in your opponent's hitter's head by playing good defense both at the net and on the backcourt.
Wisconsin's libero Tiffany Clark, the Michigan transfer will serve to get us going. Good serve, but Nebraska handles it well. The freshman Kubik right into a double block for Wisconsin. Back it comes. Sun flails at it. Knuckles got it over. The libero for Nebraska. Good start to this match. Jazz Sweet taps it over for the Huskers. Hilly, the setter, over to Molly Haggerty, and Nebraska strikes first.
Now we talk about one of the keys, that defensive effort. See it from Nebraska on, you think the play is almost over, a great get there. Second contact high enough for the third contact to go over the net, and they finish it with a block, a stuffed block on that right pin.
At that point, just the first one of the match could have gone either way a couple of times as Megan Miller serves for Nebraska for the first time. Perhaps it's an indication of how this afternoon will go. Kubik is stuffed that time. That's a big key for the Badgers.
Well, for sure, they want to make sure that they read what's going on. A high set to the left side. Take a look at this close and finish to the middle of the court. Blocking and defense, a key. Redke showing how it's done.
Redke up front for Wisconsin, and Izzy Ashburn behind the line, true freshman from Dayton, Minnesota. Bad pass, Nicklin Hames keeps it up, and Kubik with the free ball for Wisconsin. Redke off one leg. Dumped over by Nicklin Hames, a crafty move for the sophomore setter for Nebraska. Kelly Sheffield, certainly a leading candidate for Big Ten Coach of the Year. The Badgers swept Nebraska in the first meeting this season in Lincoln in early October. They are trying to beat Nebraska twice in the same regular season for the first time ever. Molly Haggerty, down it goes.
Well, you saw how Stivrins went with Redke as she was running the slide, which opens things up. Take a look at the block for Nebraska, committing on Redke, one-on-one on the outside. That's what Redke brings to this offense. People have to respect her. They commit block, and things open up for outside hitters.
Lexi Sun winds up. That tools the block. It's down and out of bounds for a Huskers point. Back and forth we go, unsurprisingly, in the first set. Molly Haggerty has been outstanding for the Badgers on the outside, leading the team in 3 of Wisconsin's last 5 matches. A quieter performance against Iowa, yes, but that was a straight set win for Wisconsin earlier this weekend, and they encountered little trouble from the Hawkeyes by way of resistance. Redke earns that point for the Badgers, and we're tied.
And we talk about how important it is to stay in system. When you're in system, you've got Redke running that slide, super hard to defend. The point of contact is so high above the net.
Redke, her typical outstanding self, 2-time first-team All-American. And from the back row, she knocks it over. Hames picks out Lexi Sun, and the Texas transfer went with an angled shot that time. Great dig in the back row by Megan Miller of Nebraska. Back deep. And that's a point for the Huskers after it ricocheted off Izzy Ashburn. John Cook, remember the former Wisconsin coach, one of the Big Ten championship banners that hangs from the ceiling inside the UW Fieldhouse belongs to him. And the Huskers are on a 7-match win streak, the longest active win streak in the Big Ten right now, and they haven't lost in November in what feels like forever, dating back several seasons. Grace Loberg with her first swing of the afternoon. Gilly with a great set. Loberg taps it over. Sun backs that one up. Jazz Sweet. Loberg boots that one. Long. Wisconsin thought there was a touch, but the point is awarded to Nebraska.
Let's take a look at this. Again, great defensive effort is going to be a key. Loberg trying to hit perimeter on this one, going hard, deep, out of bounds. We talk about frustration errors, and that can be in hitting too. When you force your opponent, especially the outsides, to take multiple swings before earning the point, it can get in their heads a little bit, and they try for a shot that maybe they're not comfortable with.
That's Danielle Hart. And a miscommunication in the backcourt for Nebraska.
Yeah, when setters are playing that right back position, they have to stay home. They have to play that first contact. And often with a roll shot, tip shot, they tend to want to leave, let the middle back play the ball. Hames getting caught on that one.
Here's Sydney Hilly. Beautiful serve, and she does so many things well.
Well, she absolutely does, and right now they're picking on Knuckles. One of her strengths is definitely serving to a target. Kenzie Knuckles is going to get a lot of action on serve receive tonight.
Kenzie Knuckles, true freshman libero for Nebraska. Hilly was aiming that one in her direction again, but fired it low. Wisconsin thinks they can take advantage of Knuckles' passing ability. She's been inconsistent at times, especially later on in Big Ten play.
Well, what they do is they look at numbers and they can see, you know, where a player is struggling a little bit based on the data that they get, and they feel like Knuckles is one of the passers that they want to pick on and see what kind of night she's going to have today.
That's Danielle Hart, who joins the party, 6'4" redshirt sophomore in the middle from Virginia Beach. 2 kills already for Hart, who loves to travel, by the way. She's got a real outdoorsy streak. Kept alive by Knuckles. Hilly picks out Madison Duello, the senior. And a big swing from the redshirt senior from Kansas City, Maddie Duello.
Well, you're going to see what you can do when you got a stud on the right side. Big swing going right over top of Nebraska's left side there, and that was Kubik.
Lauren Barnes with the serve. That one just caught a piece of the tape. In the middle, that's Schwarzenbach with the hit. And Haggerty into the net.
Real important as a left side when you're getting a not so perfect set. You got to get your feet to the ball and then try to put the ball somewhere where you're going to take a hitter out, especially if you're in a 3-hitter rotation, you're faced against a 3-hitter rotation. Figure out who the best swing is, make them play that ball, make it easier to block and dig for a point.
Knuckles serves that one down the line. Here's Duello again with a changeup. Stivrins was hanging for a while there and got the swing across.
Well, a superb job by Stivrins to get up. She wasn't all the way back to the 10-foot line for her approach. It doesn't matter. She makes herself available, gets up off the ground quick, and gives her setter Hames an option for her to hit.
I mentioned that there are no seniors on this Nebraska team. Stivrins is a junior and the unquestioned leader of this bunch. Jazz Sweet wipes the block. Point for Nebraska.
We talk about having a valuable right side, a strong right side. Jazz Sweet is just that for Nebraska. In transition, high set. She looks at the block, goes high off the blocker's hands. That's a super tough shot to defend.
Kenzie Knuckles is still serving. Madison Duello on the right side. You noticed this on her last kill, Audrey. They're working her.
Well, I think if Duello's having a big night, this Wisconsin team will be hard to defend. So you want to go pins first, and then you can move the middles into the offensive rhythm of the game. But she seems to be starting off pretty hot tonight, Madison Duello on the right side.
Smooth Jazz, as she's known on the team. That's a nickname from her coach, Kelly Sheffield, because of her easygoing, laid-back demeanor. So we got Smooth Jazz, and we've got Jazz Sweet for Nebraska. We'll keep you honest, don't worry. Molly Haggerty The pin hitters for Wisconsin have gotten stronger as this season has gone on, and that's a big part of the reason why they're first in the Big Ten.
Well, they're super talented. We're talking Haggerty and Loberg for Wisconsin, but what makes them even better is having Redke in the middle holding the block. As a blocker on the other side of the net, you've got to respect Redke's ability, which makes you a little maybe slower to get to the outside. You have to speed up your approach, speed up your blocking approach as you're getting to the outside.
That was outside the pin. Heck of an effort by Maddie Kubik. 10 up and 10 down. Boy, I tell you what, this is shaping up to be exactly the kind of match we thought it would be. Very, very close and competitive. Izzy Ashburn with the serve for Wisconsin. That was one of the interesting components about the match Nebraska last had against Minnesota. Yes, it went 5 sets, but set by set, the score was not very close. Off a touch, it's a point for Wisconsin. You were there in Minneapolis.
Yeah, it was a great match. Back and forth, really lopsided. However, Nebraska getting the W Friday night against a tough opponent in Minnesota.
Ashburn, the best server, not only on this Wisconsin team, but in the Big Ten, averaging over 0.4 aces per set.
So Nebraska right now is in a 2-hitter rotation on serve-receive. When the pass takes the setter off the net, you're really limited, especially because Stivrins likes to run that slide, so it becomes a very predictable offense for Nebraska, going high, left side to Kubik. We'll see what the pass allows Hames to do on this pattern.
Stivrins. Hilly is blocked, but she keeps it alive. Ashburn with the set. Back it comes to the Badgers. Redke. Big time dig by Barnes. Back it comes to Haggerty. We have seen a lot of points like this. That's an overpass. Hilly winds up, and Nebraska's block closed very effectively. From the back row. Point, Nebraska.
Patience is the name of the game.
A little bit more on Maddie Kubik.
Yeah. Great night she had against Minnesota in the 5th set. 7 kills, 2 blocks. For a freshman, for any player, that's outstanding, but Kubik, remember, just a freshman for this Husker team.
She is our State Farm state of success, and those numbers, again, were just in the 5th set. Long set over to Haggerty. She cleans up her own block. Pancake effort, not enough for Megan Miller.
Well, Megan Miller playing deep down on that line, anticipating a shot perhaps off the blocker's hand. So she's got a long distance to cover. Super quick young lady on defense for the Huskers, but was not able to track down that tip from Haggerty.
Haggerty, after her 200th kill this season, goes behind the line with a knuckleball. And a point for Wisconsin.
And once again, you see how Stivrins, the blocker for Nebraska, was following Redke on the slide. And Wisconsin had a one-on-one opportunity on the outside. Take a look at the block. One-on-one. Actually, Stivrins jumped with the setter. But regardless, one-on-one opportunity for the left side hitter.
It's Lexi Sun who tools the block. Already 4 kills for Lexi Sun, the native of Encinitas, California, just outside of San Diego. She's been a big part of Nebraska's game plan so far today. She eclipsed the 1,000 career kill mark on Friday night against Minnesota. 18 kills in that 5-set win against the Golden Gophers. Here's Haley Densberger with a deep serve and too long, a service error. Something that's going to play a big role in this set in particular as we wear along in set number 1. Good start for both teams, but it's Wisconsin who leads by 3. Remaining schedules among the top 4 teams in the Big Ten. And one thing that's so unique about the conference championship race this year, you've got the 4 powerhouses and they all play each other down the stretch.
Yeah, and take a look at what Penn State is facing next weekend with Wisconsin and Minnesota. Now they are at home, and that's a slight advantage. But the other thing is, you look at Nebraska playing Ohio State. Now no one would think Ohio State is a top team, but they beat Wisconsin. That's the only team in the conference that Wisconsin has lost to. So you never know in this conference. It's pretty tight all the time.
Any given night. Dana Rettke to the bench after a service error. Point Nebraska out of the timeout. Wisconsin with that 3-point lead prior to that point. Had its largest lead of the set for either side, for that matter, as Nicklin Haynes gets us back going again. Boy, the serving has been really crisp for both teams so far. That one was somehow kept alive by Nebraska and stuffed down by Callie Schwarzenbach.
Oh, we talk about playing ugly and trying to win those ugly plays. You just saw it displayed right here, but you have to just keep playing. Great pancake up, and then a little joust at the net. The ball hangs at the net. It continues to hang at the net until Schwarzenbach takes control.
Haynes again. Emmy Dodge streaks in for that one. And that's off some hands and down. A kill for Grace Loberg for Wisconsin, the junior from Geneva, Illinois.
Well, Loberg has had a sensational season so far for Wisconsin, doing a really good job of being the go-to on the left side. And in critical situations, I've seen her elevate her level of play. I've been really impressed with the junior.
Yeah, both outsides for Wisconsin. Loberg and Haggerty in particular for the Badgers have realized that they can't just use big arms to generate points. They have to develop their shots. They've done so, really deepened their arsenals in that regard.
Well, I completely agree. As an outside, you have to have a variety of shots, and you've got to keep the opponent on their toes. If you keep hitting the same shot, it doesn't matter how hard you hit, they will find a way to defend it.
Lexi Sun's got a wide variety of shots as well for Nebraska, and a darn good serve. From the pin, not a great pass from Haynes. It took Sweet right into the Wisconsin block, and they were ready for it.
And this is why every player on the team has got to be able to set or bump set an out-of-system ball. It has to be a bit more off the net to allow the pin hitter to jump, elevate, and swing, see the block, see the defense swing high.
It's Barnes with a bullet. Sweet again. How about the quick set to Hart in the middle? That was smooth.
How about the transition dig to allow that to happen? It's not just getting the ball up, Liza.
Yeah. Oh, shucks. Lauren Barnes ready to serve for Wisconsin. What are your thoughts so far in the first set?
Well, I feel like it's two evenly matched teams, and displayed right there. Serve and pass is huge. And we're really seeing Wisconsin, when they are in system, just how many weapons they have, and they're super hard to defend. So serve pass is important, and keeping Wisconsin in system is critical for a victory for them today.
Now, Wisconsin is the best serving team in the Big Ten, 1.7 aces per set, and Lauren Barnes has been launching rockets from behind the line for Wisconsin so far. Nebraska wins side out on that last point, however, and it's Kenzie Knuckles' turn, the freshman from Yorktown, Indiana, on a scholarship as a libero player. Not something you always see. She's been playing right away for the Cornhuskers. Kubik saves that one over to Jazz Sweet, who has to sweep it over. Duello continues her strong first set.
Duello's finding herself one-on-one, has a lot of time to take a look at what is given to her. Take a look here. One-on-one, she chooses to go cross-court right off the inside blocker's hands.
Tiffany Clark, the captain. Haynes back to Sweet. Clark with the dig. Here comes Molly Haggerty for a point.
Well, Haggerty sees all kinds of hands in front of her, and yet here's where her experience and her talent is. We know it's going that way, 5-5 set. She drives into the set, gets her feet to the ball, rips it cross court.
Kubik, terminal.
Well, what I like about Nebraska right now offensively, they're not just setting high to the pin to Kubik. That ball was intentionally set inside a little bit, it's like zone 3, and it allows her to come in faster and have more cross court to hit into.
Kubik has had an outstanding month. Two-time Big Ten Freshman of the Week. She was even named Big Ten Player of the Week, regardless of class. She has been on fire for Nebraska, but that's a point for the Badgers.
Well, the Badgers are successful in overloading the right side of the blocking game for Nebraska, going over top of Hames. They're running a fast tempo with the middle, and right over top of that fast tempo with the middle is a fast tempo set to the outside. So Hilly doing a good job of tempo and location and overloading the blocking side of the net for Nebraska.
And so by overloading, Wisconsin is just trying to create a numbers advantage, essentially?
Yes, they're trying to really tax Hames, being a shorter blocker, making her respect the middle, and also blocking her attacker, which is the left side hitter for Wisconsin.
Hilly and Redke ready for the block for Wisconsin. It's socked up in the air by Clark. Hames over to Kubik. Back our way. Point for Wisconsin.
You know, one of the elements that makes Wisconsin so good is the libero, Tiffany Clark. Take a look at how she is just so gutsy in the backcourt, keeping everything alive. And then a nice wipe-off shot there for Wisconsin. That's a big point for them.
Clark, one of the best back row players in Wisconsin program history. Her career mark of 4.12 digs per set is second all-time, trailing only Jocelyn Wack. Wednesday night, folks, remember the block party returns on BTN. The doubleheader begins with a top 25 matchup between Purdue and Michigan. Then Illinois hosts Northwestern. Wednesday night block party powered by Unleaded 88 on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Wisconsin, a very...
As they're in right now, it really limits who Hames can set.
See who Ashburn picks out here on the serve. Goes to Knuckles. Off the block and out of play. Point for Nebraska.
Well, and then there's just talent. As you see Kubik there, everybody knows the ball's going to go to her because the pass took Hames off the net. But what Kubik does an exceptional job doing is wiping the ball off the block. She cleans it up for her team. That's a huge play for her. Not very easy to do, but that is really her bread and butter. She does a great job of using the block.
Remember, she's just a freshman. I know you know that, Audrey.
Right.
But a bad serve that time for Kubik, who's coming off a 20-kill performance against Minnesota on Friday. What a road trip for Nebraska. From Maturi Pavilion to the Fieldhouse. Stivrins has had a quieter first set, but she gets a kill there.
You know, and it's almost a pattern. When Nebraska gets a good pass, they will go to Stivrins on that slide. So it's almost predictable in a sense that they want to use Stivrins any opportunity they can, and they can only do it when the pass takes the setter up to the net.
So what do you think of this? Nicole Trunick into serve now for Nebraska. You see the setter, Nicklin Hames, on the bench.
Right. Well, that is all about blocking and trying to get a touch on the block and then transitioning to get a swing. You don't want Wisconsin to get an easy swing on the block. They've been using Hames and overloading her, so we'll see if the subs can do a good job of blocking and defending this point.
Set point number 2. Beautiful move by Sun. 1-0 Wisconsin.
Wisconsin just completely dominating right now in the first set.
After hitting over 375 in Lincoln, they're still hitting over 340 collectively against Nebraska this year.
Right, and it's not one player. It is a balanced attack of Duello, Redke, Hart, Loberg, Haggerty, all hitting great numbers.
So we flip sides for set number 2. Nebraska in the red, Wisconsin in the white. Clark with another dig after a fastball from Kubik. Megan Miller with an outstanding up. Lexi Sun right down Main Street.
Alexi Sun doing a fabulous job there of taking off as the setter is setting the ball. A very fast approach here. Take a look. She sees where the block is, goes deep to that left back corner.
5 kills, 5 digs for Alexi Sun as we get the second set started. Hilly, what a save, and it's knuckled over by Haggerty. And Nicklin Hames takes care of that for Nebraska.
Well, Hames sees that the setter for Wisconsin, Hilly, was trying to cover a lot of ground to get back to her base position on defense, and so a smart attack by Hames to put it right where Hilly was supposed to be.
Megan Miller has been on a hot streak behind the line. Outstanding server for Nebraska. Hames tries that maneuver again, and Sydney Hilly is there, her counterpart. Madison Taylor, after a big first set, picks up her 4th kill here in set number 2.
A nice out-of-system bump set to that right side. Duello hitting sharp cross court. Really pretty play there by Wisconsin.
3rd team All-American last year, all Big Ten player, over 100 career matches in the Cardinal red and white. To Knuckles again. Kubik tries to save it, and Sun blasts that one over from the back row. Not many players can do that. But Haggerty gets the point for Wisconsin after tooling the block. So 3 straight points. Make it 2 straight points for Wisconsin, beg your pardon, after Nebraska won the first 2 of the second set. Kubik rolls the tape, and Nebraska gets that point. We've gotten a lot of traffic our way today.
A lot of balls coming our way.
We got a target over here or something like that.
I want to play one. Badly.
I bet, yeah, especially being this close to the court as a former setter. It's got to get the blood flowing again, right?
Absolutely.
Boy, Lexi Sun looks really good for Nebraska so far today. But so does Molly Haggerty for the Badgers.
You know, with Lexi Sun's shot, yes, it was hard, but she's blasting cross court. The defense just right there, right in her lap. Tough dig. Better swing right here. Off the blocker's hands, out of bounds.
7 kills already for Molly Haggerty, who wears number 23 as an homage to Michael Jordan. Haggerty is from Chicagoland. Here's Lexi Sun. Down the line, and that eats up Izzy Ashburn.
Alexi Sun does a really good job of getting her feet to the ball, getting the ball at the highest point possible, turning, keeping that elbow high, hand high, rip and line.
Lexi Sun working her way towards a double-double today. Good start in that endeavor. And here's the serve specialist, Haley Densberger, native of Malcolm, Nebraska, behind the line. Saw that coming from a mile away. Haggerty had time to really load up and spring into that one.
Well, and she saw Schwarzenbach right there in front of her, but again, she doesn't go low seam. She's going high, right in the corner. That's hitting with range right there.
It sure is. 2016 Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Missed her sophomore season. Spent much of 2018 by her standards coming back from that back injury. Dumped over by Sid Hilly, and Haggerty has returned to form, and she is reinforced by an outstanding cast around her, including Hilly, Retke, and just about everybody else on the floor right now.
Well, Hilly's running, takes that ball, puts it perfectly in the right back corner of the Cornhuskers court.
Hames picks out Sun. Blocked, but out of bounds. Point Nebraska.
You know, as an outside hitter, you cannot fear the block. You want to go after the block and play with that type of confidence. So as an outside hitter, you want to just go for it. If you feel like you can rip the ball off the blocker's hands, great. But one thing you can't have is a skittish outside hitter. You want to go for those shots, knowing sometimes, yeah, it's going to go straight down. That time, Lexi Sun just showing how it's done on the left side.
Nicklin Hames leads Nebraska in service aces. Retke with a huge swing.
Boy, having a kid like Redke on the court is a difference maker, because all you got to do is lay it up there. There was no disguising where Hilly was going with this ball. All you got to do is lay it up there and watch Redke do her thing.
The second fastest Badger ever to 1,000 career kills. She crossed that mark off her checklist earlier this year. Here she is from the back row. The missile again. Sun. Too strong, no touch. Point Wisconsin.
But here's what I like about Lexi Sun. After she makes that hitting error, she just kind of smiles at her team and says she's got it. Interesting serve-receive pattern here. They're stacking left side. Take a look at Jazz Sweet, number 12, coming all the way around the court here. Do you see her in the back court as she takes her approach from that right side? So Nebraska stacking in this rotation, rotation 1, and somehow manages to get a point out of it. Let's take a look again so you get a better look. You see Jazz Sweet, she's kind of tiptoeing around the court here. Ball gets set to outside to Lexi Sun for the kill.
And she's not just moving to get out of the way either. She's anticipating potentially a pass, so it's a lot of maneuvering there.
Right, well, she's anticipating getting the set, so she's trying to get out of the passer's way to become a hitting option. That time the pass took the setter off the net, so there was no option but going to Lexi Sun on the left pin.
After the Nebraska error, it's Sydney Hilly for Wisconsin. Schwarzenbach. Good move.
I love that play. Schwarzenbach on serve receive, coming from the right side of the court, circling around. Hames disguising where she's setting, is dipping down low to force the ball to Schwarzenbach for the kill. So you can see how Callie Schwarzenbach, number 25, is getting more sets and being very effective with the sets that she's getting.
In the middle. How about Maddie Duello?
Maddie Duello with the 2, perfectly executed here. You're going to see a triple block. They're all pinched in. Look at Nebraska's block. But despite that, 3 blocks in front of her. A little seam there. She finds Kubik's finger, goes after it.
Lauren Barnes. Stivrins with some heat. But Barnes keeps it alive for Wisconsin. On the free ball. Not even Tiffany Clark could handle that one from Jazz Sweet. Nebraska is within 1.
A courageous dig on the rally by Lauren Barnes. Take a look at that. Oh. And then Sweet, one-on-one here. Not a well-formed block by Wisconsin. Ends up in a Sweet kill.
Miller just got that one over. Haggerty changeup for a strike.
Well, what makes that so effective? Her approach is dynamic. She goes up like she's going to swing big, and at the last minute opens up the fingers, drops the elbow slightly to make a tip, and then it's perfectly placed right behind the block.
Reigning Big Ten Player of the Week, Molly Haggerty. Fantastic start to this match. With the bump pass that time, she gets an assist as Madison Duello takes care of it.
Now the defensive effort from Wisconsin is outstanding right now. Barnes laying out to get the ball, actually jumping up to get the ball. A perfect 5-and-5 set there by Haggerty, wiping it for the point. Wisconsin, big point, big kill.
Looked like a touch, and it's a point for Nebraska. Kill for Maddie Kubik.
Again, there's no disguising where the ball is going. Sometimes you're just a better hitter than you are a defensive team. Flat hit right outside of the blocker's hands, off the blocker's hands, and Kelly Sheffield with a great kick save there.
Hilly keeps that alive. Clark brings it back to earth. That was off the Jumbotron. I don't know what the grounds rules are inside the field house. I should have looked, but
yeah,
it looked like it was ruled out
yeah,
when
well,
it hit that.
Yeah, I believe like you can play it. But let's take a look at the great defensive get by Nebraska. Kubik in middle back. and it goes off of the scoreboard. Can't play that one. Went off the scoreboard, out of bounds.
Haggerty tried to hit that one off some hands on the Nebraska block, but it was too high and then long. Point for the Huskers, and we're tied at 11. That's Kubik, the freshman, out of Valley High School in West Des Moines. Hilly, beautiful move. You see that coming?
Well, you know what? She's backcourt. So we didn't expect her to jump and attack the ball. And sometimes you're just a tricky setter. That's kind of like the upper echelon, if you will, of talented setters. Can you do tricky things to get your team points? Sydney Hilly displaying her talent there by just a good, tricky setter.
Uh-oh, that's trouble. Dana Retke pounds that one down.
Sheffield excited off the bench, giving instructions.
Yeah. He keeps it pretty cool for the most part in terms of facial expression. He can be a tough read.
Yeah, I think as a coach you want to be emotionally steady, not too high, not too low. Just be thinking about ways to help your team get a W.
Stivrins off the block, but down on Nebraska's side. 3 straight for the Badgers.
Well, Haggerty, a key to being a good blocker on a slide is to keep your hips squared to the net. Take a look. She is up and down perfectly. She's not leaning out to the pin when she makes contact on the ball.
Stivrins with the final say on that point.
Stivrins does an exceptional job of hitting hard cross court. And you think, she has to beat the blocker with the speed of her approach, and she does just that because Retke's blocking that cross court angle, but she beat Retke with the speed of her approach.
Here's Densberger. Both teams putting up monster offensive numbers in this second set, and Dana Retke pads it for Wisconsin. 15-12. As we take the second set break, Badgers are hitting .524 in the second set. Nebraska is hitting gaudy offensive numbers here in the second set. Wisconsin in particular hitting over 500. Sun. Back it comes to Loberg. Off the block. Out to John Cook, who is not happy that that ball was in his lap.
Yeah, courageous swing there by Loberg. She had all kinds of hands in front of her, and she takes a ball that's not perfect. They're scrambling a little bit, and she takes it and terminates for a point.
John Cook has turned Nebraska into the winningest program in the country this century. His first season in Lincoln was 2000. Your son with a bullet.
Again, rotation 1 for Nebraska. They did the same thing, stacked left side, and they're just allowing Lexi Sun to hit in that rotation. Remember, Jazz Sweet is a lefty, so in serve receive, she has to be on that side of the court, but she circles all the way around and basically opening up things for Lexi Sun to just have a heyday on the left side. She's been an effective swing for Nebraska.
Lexi Sun, we mentioned, is from Encinitas, California. And John Cook is from San Diego, so that was a big part in the chemistry that those two developed when Sun ultimately transferred from Texas. And that's Jazz Sweet, who once again brings Nebraska within 1 of Wisconsin in set number 2.
Jazz Sweet displaying a ton of talent here. Lots of area to hit into. Perimeter cross court, tough to dig.
Here's Lexi Sun now. Hilly. On the slide, Danielle Hart. Don't forget about her.
Yeah, I mean, they're all such good hitters, but take a look at the pass here, how important it is to allow your setter to set multiple people, and then look at where she sets the ball, right outside of Kubik's hand. So she knows where Kubik is lined up, Hilly does, and sets perfectly to exploit her.
Clark, Loberg, Knuckles, Hames. Sweet off the block. Out of bounds, last touch by Wisconsin. Nebraska hanging around in the second set.
And this is what makes Jazz Sweet so effective. The last time she hit, cross-court perimeter. This time, sees hands, goes after it. 2 big kills for that young lady.
You know, one of your keys to the game, minimize unforced errors. Both teams have done that really well in this second set, hence the big-time offensive numbers as Duello goes up the middle.
So what makes that play effective? First of all, a key pass. Again, Wisconsin controlling the pass here. Look at where it goes. And then take a look at the area that you're able to hit into based on where the block is setting up. That time Kubik had to respect the other hitter coming at her. Did not help in that middle attack from Wisconsin's middle.
Kubik tools the block. The teams are basically exchanging points right now. Both with side-out percentages over 60 at the moment.
And in comes to serve Megan Miller, my favorite, the unsung hero from Friday's match. What a great server she is. Typically when I say that, I jinx the server, so I'm just going to quit talking about her at
All
this
right,
point.
it's on you, Audrey. Good to know.
Come on, Miller. Come on, Miller.
She had 5 aces against Minnesota on Friday. Good serve. Audrey, you're clear. But Haggerty wins the point.
Haggerty wins the battle one-on-one. It's you versus your blocker. Haggerty goes up over top of Hames and just rips the ball hard over top. I like her approach. I like the speed of her arm, but I certainly like the way Wisconsin is passing the ball right now.
10 kills for Haggerty as Clark serves to the Badgers, and she aces them up.
You know, Clark plays with so much confidence. She just goes back there and does her job. Nice flat serve that just takes a dip right before it gets to the passer's arms.
Timeout, Nebraska.
In the attack, Nebraska would like to see a little bit more of a balanced attack.
Kept up by Clark. Here's Haggerty looking for kill number 11. Not that time. On the slide, Stivrins turned away. There's Megan Miller for Nebraska. Stivrins right back to work. And a point.
Stivrins doing a great job of just hanging out on that right side. You know, usually she would go back to the middle, but the transition happened so quickly. She just called for a high set, went up, attacked hard.
Kubik now to get the Huskers within 1. Interesting rotation right now for Wisconsin. You saw how they stacked before the serve. Double block, Koretke and Duello. That's 6-8 and 6-3. Good luck.
That's 6-8 and 6-3 going high and over the plane of the net. We talk about being a big block, but in order to be a good block, you've got to get your hands over. That net is theirs. They own it. They love it.
Ashburn with the incoming. A joust at the net, and someone was in the net, and it's a Wisconsin player who was caught up in the net.
Yeah, Red Key was going up, and she's like, my bad. Sorry, guys.
You've seen how high Wisconsin's hitting percentage is, and on the other end for Nebraska, the Huskers haven't blocked Wisconsin since the first point of this match. Streak that continues with a beam from Dana Retke.
Well, and we always look at how the play ends with a thunderous hit, but what cannot go unnoticed is that the ball control right now for Wisconsin is exceptional, and that allows the offense to be run. The tempo, the location is perfect, and it gives the hitters nice rhythm and really gives them an advantage to score.
Haggerty just couldn't nudge that one over. One thing Wisconsin has not done through nearly the first 2 sets is beat themselves. But service error is certainly one way to let a team like Nebraska right back into things.
And in this rotation, Jazz Sweet has rotated up. So you've got Jazz Sweet as an offensive threat on that pin on the right side.
What a serve by Nicklin Hames. Retke. Point Wisconsin.
Lexi's son was in the net. John Cook is up off his bench, off the chair.
He calls a timeout. Wisconsin now 2 points away from a second set win. Wouldn't be the first time on this road trip Nebraska has fallen down 2 sets. Remember, they were rather up 2 sets against Minnesota, and then they ultimately went to 5 sets. So Nebraska is in this for the long haul, whether they go down by 2 sets or not. We talked about the Heroes game a little bit earlier, and again, Friday.
So they did not stack. I would anticipate the ball's going to go to Lexi Sun on the right pin.
Right on cue, Audrey. And it works for Nebraska, 23-21 off the Wisconsin block.
So great timeout. Great pass. Actually, the pass takes Hames off the net. She does a great job of bettering the ball, putting a bump set high over her head, giving Sun the opportunity to score.
Knuckles with the bump set. Sweet off the block for Nebraska. Push towards Hilly. She finds Hart. Knuckles can't save it. Set point, Wisconsin.
Just keeping the ball off the ground is huge. And the fans here are loving it.
Wisconsin not up a deuce just yet. A smidge wide from Danielle Hart. Caught me.
Very close to that sideline, just slightly out.
Now a timeout for Kelly Sheffield and the Badgers. Took Wisconsin a couple of set points to win the first set.
Yeah, I would imagine Sheffield wants Nebraska to think about this serve, trying to ice the server a little bit.
All right, well, we are, of course, winding our way to the conclusion of the regular season. So here are our Player of the Year predictions. Audrey, you start.
Yeah, so I think Redke, not only what she does offensively, but she forces the blockers to respect her, which makes the team better. Hilly, well, what can I say? She is fantastic. She's smart. She pays attention to detail. She's crafty. I feel like she has everything that a good setter needs to have. Kubik is a stud. 6 rotation freshman, does it all. And, you know, I like Kendall White for Penn State. Hugh McCutcheon, I think, has done a great job of just putting together a lineup despite injuries.
I'm right there with you for Dana Redke, Sydney Hilly, Hugh McCutcheon. Personally, I loved watching CeCe McGraw run the libero position for Minnesota. And Mae Pertovsky had that stretch in September, October when she was back-to-back Big Ten Freshman of the Week. She works really well with Paige Jones. It's a Michigan team that's very young and is going to be knocking teams like Nebraska and Wisconsin off in the years to come. So lots of talent to choose from, certainly. And how about our guys who are pulling the strings, pushing the buttons? Their picks, they've seen probably more volleyball than either of us this year, Audrey.
Yeah.
And a great list here as well. Lauren Stivrins certainly belongs in the conversation for Player of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you can't neglect Kelly Sheffield for Coach of the Year. What he's been able to do with his team has been incredible. He prepares them so well for big matches like this.
Kenzie Knuckles trying to keep Nebraska alive in set number 2. It's not enough. Danielle Hart seals the deal that time. And Wisconsin is now up 2-0 after a 25-22 set 2 dub.
A fantastic 2-set win here for Wisconsin, using all offensive weapons that time. Hart getting it done on a slide attack.
So with
that team during the timeout and turning things around for her team before the 5th set started.
We're not going to get a sweep again, right? Nebraska's going to have something to say here before we leave the field house.
Well, Nebraska is definitely competitive, and I will never rule them out. You know, they just need to do a couple things better. They need to take control of the serve-pass game. Right now, I think Knuckles needs to elevate her level of play in the backcourt, not in terms of defense, but in terms of serve-receive. And I think they need to play with confidence every time they go up.
Point Nebraska, thanks to Lauren Stivrins, the captain, who played a key role going into the 5th set against Minnesota on Friday night. After the Gophers had rallied to tie it, she took over the huddle.
Yeah, she basically told the assistant coach it's nothing to do with X's and O's. It's about things that we can control. And she just emotionally got the group charged up. And boy, they were a different team in the 5th set than they were throughout the entire match.
They wiped the floor with Minnesota in that 5th set. They won 15-3, something you hardly ever see in the Big Ten 5th set. Molly Haggerty, you've seen that a lot in the Big Ten this year. She goes right down the line.
Yeah, and she's able to go down the line because Hames is a little bit smaller on the block. The tempo, the location from Hilly's set is perfect, and Molly Haggerty really having an easier job of swinging because of the location of the set.
Tiffany Clark time. Sun. That's a point.
Sometimes you just have to take a little bit off the ball to catch the defense on their heels. That time she wipes it off the blocker's hands. Little roll shot, 3/4 speed shot ends up falling for her team.
And just 2 errors for Lexi Sun along with those 12 kills. Hitting right around 400 for the match today. Densberger to Clark in the back row. Here's Haggerty, already with a double-digit kill match through just 2 sets. Nebraska plays that over to Sun. She's blocked. Renke kept it alive, as did Duello. And Sun with the final save.
Sun going up big on the second set that she gets and just rips it cross court. Typically she likes to go to middle back, right back, but she sees that opening deep cross court and with authority puts an end to the rally.
Second season as a Husker after she was an All-America honorable mention at Texas in 2017. Barnes gets it over. Hames works the opposite way that time to Schwarzenbach, the middle who ran the slide. Here's Haggerty, the outside. Great save by Hart up front. Outside, a point for Nebraska. Good start to the 3rd set for the Huskers. They've won 4 of 5 points.
We talk about how the Huskers have been serving better this season. Number 43, Densberger, is doing a really good job of serving down the line to Clark. Clark passing the ball off the net, which is giving Nebraska a chance to read the play defensively.
Haggerty with a little bit of extra sauce sprinkled in on that point. She made sure that that was in.
Well, Haggerty, take a look at this big, deep approach. And again, catching Schwarzenbach for Nebraska, kind of leaning a bit to her left and then having to redirect, going to her right.
A dozen kills for Haggerty. Here's her teammate, Izzy Ashburn. Hames to Sun. Hilly to Haggerty. Said that a lot this year, and Haggerty finds the soft spot.
Haggerty's gotta love it when she's front row with Renke. Well, take a look at the great dig. It's high. And again, you see Schwarzenbach just slightly leaning to her left. Gotta respect Dana Redke as a slide approach. So she's a little late getting to the left side pin.
It's a great observation, Audrey. What a pancake save by Ashburn, the freshman. Double block. Redke pushes it back to Ashburn, across to Haggerty on the free ball. Kubik glides in for the back row. Redke in the middle. Point Wisconsin. We're tied. It started with this pancake.
Great defensive effort. You want to keep your feet moving until you play the ball, and then you just want to play scrappy and smart. Put it in the corner when in doubt. Make that middle back move. Nebraska not ready to track that ball down.
Point Nebraska to stop the Wisconsin run.
Well, Wisconsin's been caught a couple times where the ball is going off the middle blocker's hands, and Redke should land and play. It's really close to her, so you really don't want your outside hitter, Molly Haggerty, in that rotation to have to come in and play that ball, especially when it's so close to your body as a blocker that's landing.
Hames with a great up in the back row. Kubik brings it back to earth, and Sun swishes it over. Redke is blocked. Hilly is not.
You gotta love when your setter's doing junk like that. Take a look at this. Great block. And then, boom, she finds herself one-on-one. She'll take it. Her teammates love it.
First kill of the match for Sydney Hilly and her 40th of the season. Loberg off a touch. Looked in either way. And Wisconsin has regained the lead in the third set.
Loberg, great vision, knowing when to thump the ball straight down and when to hit perimeter. Really smart shot.
By the way, that was Hilly's second kill of the match, clarified. Some chaos for Nebraska. Back it comes. Loberg is denied, and Nebraska is able to salvage that point.
Fist pump by Jazz Sweet. One-on-one, typically the advantage goes to the swing. Jazz Sweet doing a great job of just waiting, being patient, going angle of approach, lining up nose to nose. Look at the speed there, closing to the pin. Yeah, nice push over that net.
Sweet hitting .270 this season, the junior from Topeka. Point Wisconsin.
Comes at you so fast. Part of it is when Hilly is setting the ball, Redke is already up. And so you've got to be down low on defense and just hope for the best. That time Nebraska touches the ball, gets it up, but unfortunately the dig goes over the net, out of bounds.
Is out. Point for Wisconsin.
I like Kubik's thought there. She's trying to go deep down the line, catching the defense, playing cross court on that play, but she misses it wide.
And she missed that one long. Dana Redke, that is. You're looking to nitpick Redke today. Her serving has not been as sharp as it usually is.
Yeah, right. She's typically a very good server, point of contact being so high.
Kenzie Knuckles. Loberg off some hands. Hames comes in to Sweet, but a whistle and a net violation.
Yeah, Hames is running to try to save that ball. It was a good dig, but Hames is coming from the back court, so you've got to keep the dig off the net. As she was trying to play that ball, she gets herself trapped in the net.
Check that out. 38 assists already. Her season high in three-set matches is 43. Oh, and she nearly got assist number 39, but it's a point for Nebraska after a swing into the net.
The margin of error is so tight here. The set had to be a little bit higher. Great elevation by the middle for Wisconsin, but Hilly just undersetting it slightly causes an error.
Hilly tied a Wisconsin program record for 4 set matches with a 78 assist performance against Minnesota last week. Off a touch, a point for Wisconsin, and this is in all scoring formats. That includes non-rally scoring. So Sydney Hilly, again, just a monster season for the junior from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Lauren Barnes, the Minnesota transfer. That's in. Nope, just long. Who tries to tie this third set. Dwello with a vicious swing right to Megan Miller. Sun took something off it, and Hilly came in to save it. Over to Dwello again. Stivrins. We are tied.
I'll give Nebraska credit. Great defensive play on the right back on that big swing, and then controlling the ball with a block, slowing the ball down, then Stivrins slide here. Thunderous hit right outside the blocker's hands.
Awkward serve by Kubik. Nebraska wins the point. Almost a serving violation.
Kubik, I think, gave herself a bad toss. Wasn't quite sure what to do with it. Oh, yeah, well, what do? I land and okay, well, whatever, she said. We got the point, whatever.
Impressive that she was able to even get it over.
And she's laughing it off right now. She's like, geez, you won't see me doing that again.
I would not look at my teammates right now if I were her. Hard to stay composed.
Double contact there by Hilly on the run to get the ball. They seem to be really picking on Tiffany Clark in serve receive, and a little timeout here by Sheffield.
Nebraska in a groove here in the third set. They lead by 2. Well, a point for Wisconsin after a net violation on Nebraska. Big point for the Badgers as John Cook's team is trying to force a 4th set. One-on-one, and Sun is blocked by Dwello.
Oh, that is a great block. Wow. Redkey bites with this jump set. And then take a look at this, how you line up one-on-one. You reach over, you take away the hitter's strong shot, which in that case was a cross-court shot attempt by Lexi Sun.
And another point for Wisconsin. Let's go back to that block again.
Yeah, this is awesome. When you're one-on-one, the advantage goes to the hitter unless you've got a blocker like number 14. I mean, she just takes control of that net. That net is hers. Dwello, what a great job.
3 blocks for Madison Dwello today. Bad pass at the net. It's Nicklin Haynes who wins the joust with Dana Redkey.
All right, this is what I like about Haynes. She is undersized, but she is gutsy and tough. You see her going against the tallest kid across the net, and somehow she wins the joust. You know why? She is one tough cookie, and she relishes in that moment. It's me versus you. I'm going to show you what I can do.
Total stud in the national championship game last year as a true freshman. 62 assists. Dwello, but wide. Point for Nebraska.
They're serving Tiffany Clark deep. Clark puts up a good ball. It's high. She lets it rip. Nice and high. A 2 ball in the middle, just wide. Should have been a point there for Wisconsin. No block in front of her.
Wisconsin was playing by and large error-free volleyball in the first 2 sets. They haven't been quite as clean in the 3rd set, and yet here we are tied 14-all.
Well, in that serve receive, you see another example of overloading over top of Nicklin Haynes, the shorter blocker. They run a B with the middle or a 31, and right over top of the 31 is the set to the outside. That's a lot of area along the net for Haynes to be responsible for on blocking.
What a save. Hilly picks out Haggerty down the line.
No doubt you knew where that ball was going.
Yeah.
Haynes made a spectacular save running clear across court, digging the ball up, giving her team an opportunity.
Has been sensational for Wisconsin this season. 43 assists today. That ties her season high in a 3-set match. Remember, she set a program record, or tied a program record, for assists in a 4-set match last week against Minnesota. Redkey goes one-on-one with Kubik with the stuff.
Redkey doing a good job of staying disciplined, knowing that Kubik is an offensive option in the backcourt. She doesn't bite to her left or right. She just goes straight up and over. You see she's balanced here, waiting, reading, stuffing.
Clark pushed over to Haggerty. In the middle, Sun. A tapper. And it took a great Nebraska roll as the timing threw Izzy Ashburn off as it came down off the tape.
Alexi Sun playing defense right over top of the block, then doesn't feel the need to get all the way out to the pin, calls for a 5 or a 2 ball in the middle, and takes the advantage of the block, right side block being on her, tips the ball to the right front area of the court where there's open space.
What a serve by Hames, but Barnes is there. Barnes has been sensational on defense and behind the line for Wisconsin today, but Nebraska ties it up.
You know, every rotation is like a mini game, and Haggerty was swinging as if Hames was in front of her. This time it's Sweet. You can't go low line shot because Sweet is a completely different blocker than Hames.
And there's also an individual game plan that's associated with every rotation as well.
Yeah, coaches have to prepare almost 6 different scouting reports for all the 6 rotations on the floor. Got to have a game plan every time you rotate. The looks are different, the blocks, the defense is different. So it's a really difficult game when you talk about scouting and preparing for a match.
Hard to put together a scouting report on Molly Haggerty, especially in November. She's been great. Sun off the block of Sydney Hilly. And that wins Nebraska at the point.
Neckel is doing a really good job. That was a tough serve coming her way, controlling the pass. Again, when the ball is passed up to the setter, they jump set, they hold the block, or at least they have 3 different hitting options to go to when the setter is backcourt. But either way, Lexi Sun found herself one-on-one, and thumb down hits cross-court, high off the blocker's hands.
Lollipop serve. Reitke with a fastball. Wisconsin back in front.
So when you talk about a lollipop serve, usually not a lot of velocity or spin to it, but they're trying to get the ball served to an area of the court to kind of clog up the approach of Dana Reitke. But that serve, as you said, was not only easy, but a little too deep. She had all the room to approach.
Reitke does not have an error in the match today, but she's got more than a couple behind the service line. Grace Loberg keeps it alive. One more time. Kubik pops it up. Hames brings it down. And Kubik to the back row. It's pushed up by Tiffany Clark. What a swing by Grace Loberg.
Nothing gentle or kind about this young lady when she plays volleyball. Takes a 5-and-5 and just rips it right over top of the block. It's what it means to have a great vertical and to have some size.
Runs in the family. Her mom, Colleen Jordan, played at Indiana. And Wisconsin, thanks to Danielle Hart, now up by 2 in the 3rd set. And a look inside. Abby, you're absolutely right. It's a great day for Badger volleyball, great day for Big Ten volleyball. There's Jazz Sweet with the kill.
A Sweet going high, again, over top of the block. That is just her 5th kill for the night, but she's hitting over 300, so we'll see if she gets a few more attempts, but she's rotated to the bench. She rotated to the back court, which means she's off, so we'll see if when she rotates in, she's able to get more sets.
Well, got that one over and down.
Well, you see Wisconsin, they were going heavy to the pin, and then they set that 2 ball right in the middle of the court, and you see how Hames is going outside to block and misses her responsibility to help block the middle high set.
Hames, Kubik lets it rip, blocked by Duello. Stivrins denied. Back she comes, the All-American with the kill for Nebraska.
Stivrins always wanting to make herself available on the transition swing. If she doesn't have time to come into the middle, she'll just hang out on the right side. That's when Hames is front court. She'll take a 5-and-5, and she'll do something with it.
Sister Amber plays volleyball at Louisville. She's a freshman there this year. What a save by Megan Miller. Lexi Sun stopped. Duello and Danielle Hart with a winner for Wisconsin.
Well, one of the things that this Wisconsin Badger team does exceptionally well on the block, they're going hip to hip. They're having a much better defensive game in the front court and back court, and that's one of the things Sheffield said. He thinks his team is more disciplined on the block. You saw it displayed right there.
Down the line serve. Stivrins is emerging here in this set, but that's a net violation or maybe an antenna violation.
Stivrins moving pretty slow, walking it off here. She says she's okay. Nothing's going to take that kid off the court.
Tiffany Clark blending into the sea of red behind her. Set point, Wisconsin. Match point, Wisconsin. Into the stratosphere. Wisconsin keeps it alive. To the back row. (24-21).
Well, that was a fantastic rally. You saw great defensive effort. Wisconsin just trying to hang in there on each and every tough swing by Nebraska. But they have a chance to win it here on this side out.
Densberger checks in to serve. Break out the brooms. For the second time this year, Wisconsin dispatches Nebraska in straight sets. And the Badgers